live, so let's go. Okay.
Original.
To behold such a wonder, we adore you, oh Jesus. What a beauty to behold. You are my high priest, you are my Messiah, you are the one with eyes of fire. Oh, you are Jesus. What a beauty to behold. You are all together lovely. You are the bridegroom of the church. Oh, you are Jesus. What a beauty to behold. There is no other like you. No one can say what you Lord, in you I live, I move and my being. Oh, Jesus, what a beauty to behold. Oh, there is no other like you. No, no one can say what you. Oh, only you. I move and I be. Oh, you are Jesus. What a beauty to behold. You are the message of the Father. You are the hope of all the world. Oh, you are Jesus. What a beauty to behold. You are Alpha. You are Omega. You are the Lion. You are the Lamb. You are Jesus. What a beauty to behold. There is no other, no other God like you. No one, no one can say but Yahweh. Lord, you, I live, I move, I live. Oh, you are Jesus. What a beauty. You are my source. You are my sustainer. My lover, you are my king. You are Jesus. Such a beauty to be. You are my heart, my one desire. You are my savior. You are my friend. You are Jesus. 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 What a beauty to behold. There is no other, no other God like you. No one can say but you. Lord, you, I live, I move, I be. You are Jesus. What a beauty. You are the message of the Father. You are the hope of all the world. You are Jesus. What a beauty. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for tuning in today to our live session. Please share, like our comments, subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll start at 7:30 p.m. To let more people join. Please share, because we are going to have an interesting conversation today, and we are actually talking about the hidden risk, HPV, teens, and oral sex. So please share the link. Thank you. There is no other God like you. No without you. Lord, in you I live, I move and have my existence in Jesus. What a man. Say it again. There is no God like you. No one, no one can say but you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. And today's topic is on the hidden risk HPV, teens, and oral sex. And we'll kickstart at exactly 7:30 p.m. And we've got currently 5 minutes to go to allow people to tune in. Please stay on the live. You're going to enjoy today's session. Thank you.
Lord, in you I live, I move and have I hear of your Jesus. What a beauty. You are Jesus. What a wonder. You are Jesus. Such a Savior. You are Jesus. What a lover. You are Jesus. What a beauty. I beauty to behold, such a wonder. We adore you, oh Jesus. What a beauty to behold. You are my high priest. You are my desire. You are the one with eyes of fire. Oh, you are Jesus. What a beauty to behold. You are altogether lovely. You are the bridegroom of the church. Oh, you are
I'm
Jesus.
woman, whether you are
Beauty.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to our talk today. And my name is Priscilla, and I'm your rural health advocate, and I'm the founder of Global Impact for Rural Innovation Foundation, GIVE. And today we are actually going to be talking about the hidden risk, the human papilloma virus, teens, and oral sex. So we've got 2 more minutes to kickstart this session. Please just stay on the line. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to comment, and also, most importantly, don't forget to ask your questions. Please feel free to ask your questions. Don't forget to ask your questions, whatever you're not clear, whatever you need understanding on. Please do not forget to ask the question. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so today's topic is on the hidden risk, HPV, teens, and oral sex. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm truly grateful to have you here. So, hey everyone, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm so glad you are here because we are actually going to talk about something that doesn't often get enough attention, but it affects almost every family that have got teenagers, that have got young ladies, that has even got men as well. So when you hear, the word HPV, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? You could drop your answers in the comment section. When you hear the word HPV, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? So HPV is actually human papillomavirus, and most people think about it. Most people think about cervical cancer, and actually that is not wrong. But I want you to understand that HPV is so much more than that, and it's one of the most common infections in the world, and it can affect men, women, and yes, even teenagers. And tonight we are going to talk about a hidden risk that most people don't realize. It is called HPV and oral sex. So what is HPV? So let's start, simple. HPV stands for human papilloma virus. Is actually a group of more than 100 viruses. And here's the shocking part. Almost 8 out of 10 people would get HPV at some point in their life. Hmm. Now, most of the time, HPV goes away on its own. Now, the immune system has the ability, to clear it without you even knowing it's there. But sometimes it doesn't clear it. Now, sometimes it causes genital warts, like when sometimes you wake up and there are little things like boil around the words around your private, yeah. And in other cases it actually leads to cancer. It leads to cervical cancer, anal cancer, penile cancer, and increasingly throat and tongue cancer and oral cancer. Now the quick question is, do you know HPV could cause cancer other than cervical cancer? So you've had HPV, you've had cervical cancer. Now, are you truly, do you know that HPV could cause cancers other than cervical cancer? Now, HPV could cause cancers other than cervical cancer. It could cause penile, it could cause oral, it could cause different form of cancers. Now here's where, it actually gets really important, really interesting. A lot of young people believe that oral sex is safe. So there's no pregnancy risk attached to it. There is less stigma, there is less chance of, being caught by parents, but oral sex is not risk-free. So I'm going to ask again, did you know HPV could cause, do you know HPV could actually cause cancers other than cervical cancer? And here's what's, it really gets interesting. We actually believe, or a lot of people believe, that oral sex is safe. Now, there's no pregnancy risk, there's less stigma. When you engage in oral sex, there's actually less stigma, less pregnancy risk, and less chance of being caught by parents, by being caught by friends, by being caught by boyfriends, girlfriends, side chick. But oral sex is not risk free. Now, HPV, spreads through skin to skin contact, and that includes the mouth and throat. Now, in fact, I want you to know that HPV is now the leading cause of actually throat cancers, especially in young men. So by the time you're there, you're swallowing and swallowing and swallowing like the anointed cherub that cover it. You are taking in everything. You don't even know if the partner is faithful to you, or even if the partner is positive for HPV. So you're just there taking in everything. You're swallowing. They give you aid. They will open their legs. You will take in everything, and you're not even sure that your partner has got the HPV vaccine. So these are questions we need to ask in our everyday today activity, in our relationship with our partners. If you decide that you want to go into a relationship with a person, you need to ask before you put your tongue down wherever you want to put it. And you also have to know that you have to put yourself first. You have to think about your life. You have to think about your priority matters. Now, HPV, begins to spread through skin to skin contact, and that includes the mouth and the throat, like I've said. Now, in fact, HPV is now the leading cause of throat cancer, especially in young men. Now, let me ask you, did anyone, ever tell you growing up that oral sex could transmit HPV? So you don't, most people never heard. It's when I have conversations with people, they say, oh, they've never heard of HPV. Now, most people have never heard this in school or at home. That is why I've titled today's topic to be the hidden risk. Now, we've got teenagers, we've got nieces, we've got nephews, we've got cousins that are actually teenagers that are growing. And whether we like it or not, they, one way or the other, engage in talks about sex. They engage in talks. They see it on TV, they see it on their smartphones, they see it everywhere they go. The society has incorporated it in our system, in our community, in such a way that anywhere you go, it just is, it's there. It just shows you whatever you don't want to see in movies. A movie could just be clean, but there's a part exhibiting sexual scenes. So now let's talk about our teens. Adolescents, are very curious beings. They try to experiment. When you go in detail and talk about adolescent health, you realize that adolescents they are curious, they try to experiment, and sometimes they think, oral sex is actually a safe way to be sexual without actually having sex. So, but here's the danger. The human papilloma virus often, it doesn't have any symptoms. So a teen might, get it, carry it, and will never know, because you're engaging in oral sex, you're having some sexual fantasies. And years later, as they begin to grow, as they begin to progress, they realize that infection could actually lead to cancer in the throat or tongue. Now, there was, a situation recently that I became aware of. There was a man in his 30s. He doesn't smoke. In fact, he has never smoked, hardly drank, very healthy. But he was shocked when he actually started developing some itching around his throat. And then the diagnosis came and everything. And he was told that he's developed throat cancer. And the thing is, he's got the HPV infection. He got it years even before, when he was a teen, when he began to remember all the things, and then he realized, oh, I engaged in oral sex when I was a teen, not with one, not with two, not with three, not with four. And I want parents to understand that if you're watching this, what is the hardest part of talking to your kids about sexual health? If you've got a niece that is close to you, you can talk to the person about sexual health. There's actually, we live in a society where we sometimes shy away from having this conversation, but it's actually an important conversation to have with our teenagers as they grow, as they get into university, as they begin to explore lives, as they begin to see different things. It's actually something we need to discuss with our teenagers. So, as a parent, if you're watching this, I want you to have that conversation. I don't want you to assume that your kids are not doing anything, I want you to sit down, have the conversation with your child, have the conversation with your daughter. Let her know or let him know that, okay, this is it. This is what it's all about. This is what it's doing. This is what it's doing in the body. Okay, how do we go about it? So it's not a crime to I want to take that impression of our mind that it is a crime to um talk about these things to your kids. So is it not actually better you you have this conversation with your child, you have this conversation with your daughter, than your daughter hears it from someone else, and then your daughter goes to, try to experiment with another person. It's actually a conversation we need to have. And because we've proposed in our mind as parents, as guardians, not to have that conversation. And then the children go out there, they want to experiment. They want to know, okay, this person A, this person B, is engaging in oral sex. So let me also engage in that. And then they begin to, engage in different form of fantasies and everything. So if you have the conversation with your kids, they'll know that, okay, this is that. Okay, HPV is there, and I don't need to engage in oral sex, even if I want to implement it, even if I want to try it. So why don't I do that? Why don't I do this to save myself the stress? Why don't I do this to perfect my future? So these are the conversations we should be having with our parents. Now let me take you to the myths and, the facts. So is a myth, and people believe that HPV only affects women. So you hear, oh, it's a woman's disease. So we need to, try to remove that stigma that is attached to it. It's not only a woman's disease. Oh, it's everybody's disease that is inside here. Now, it's actually a myth as well to believe that condom fully protects against HPV. They play. They play, oh, just they play, they go, they play. The virus just there for your tonsil, they dance a willow, they dance a willow, they dance a willow. Be playing, just sit down, sit down, sit down and be playing. So it's actually a myth to actually believe that oral sex is a safe alternative to, avoid HPV. And it's now a fact that the HPV vaccine prevents oral cancers too. Now, it's a myth to say that only sexually active adults need to worry about HPV. The teenagers also need protection against the virus at an early age. So some countries, like I think Nigeria did a rollout, and probably Ghana will start the rollout this September. I don't know if it's in the system. Other Western countries do a rollout for their teenagers where they give where they vaccinate the teenagers against this HPV virus. So if you're a parent, if you're a mom, a dad, an uncle, an auntie that has got a teenage child, don't sit in your house and assume that your teenage child do not need the HPV vaccine. You just end up being the weapon that fashioned against that teenage child. So why don't you just sit up and then help that child get the vaccine? So let's make this real. The human papilloma virus doesn't just cause what? It causes, cancers, cervical cancer in women, anal cancer in both men and female, penile cancer in men, and increasingly throat and tongue cancer linked to oral sex. So imagine you're sitting in the comfort of your home and saying, oh, your teenage child is a precious one, which every parent would want to say. So why don't you say, okay, A or B or C? Have you had the the teenage I'm sorry, have you had the HPV vaccine? So you get that teenage child vaccinated. So people don't go and put their thumb wherever they deem fit because they are performing oral sex or they are trying to satisfy their partners, and then they start spreading HPV like wildfire. So when cervical cancer in women, anal cancer in both sex, penile cancer in men, and then there's an increasingly throat and tongue cancer linked to oral sex. Now, the symptoms of oral cancer can, include persistent sore throat, ear pain, troubling, swelling. It can be also be associated to different, symptoms as well. Now, imagine so many of these cancers could be prevented with a vaccine. And that's where, this conversation matters. That is why I want you to sit down. If you're married, if you're in a relationship, if you decide and propose in your heart to be a side chick or a side bae or a bend or whatever you decide to be, ask yourself this question. The person you're engaging in oral sex with, the person you're having a fantasy with, is this person vaccinated against the virus? So before you put your tongue down there, you have to ask yourself this question, and then ask your teenage children, sit them down. It's not a conversation where you would fight. No, it's a conversation you have with them that they will open up and they will say, okay, this is this is that. So I've not engaged in it, but I need to get the HPV vaccine so that I'll be protected against cervical cancer. And here's the good news. So we can prevent HPV related cancers. Now, the HPV vaccine is actually safe, is effective, and recommended for teenagers before they become sexually active. Now, in the world we live in, most teenagers are becoming sexually active. So, why don't you protect your child against HPV? And you, as an adult that is going down there and putting your tongue and performing oral sex and trying to satisfy, you get someone, maybe a man or a woman, pick the person, bring the person, and you're already sticking your tongue down there without asking, have you done your pap smear examination? Have you gotten the HPV vaccine? No, you just everything that comes out, you put it in your mouth. You are GP tank. So you just be swallowing everything, swallowing everything, swallowing everything. You need to ask questions before you engage in oral sex. In fact, you need to ask questions. And it doesn't matter if the person is clean down there when you remove the underwears and the person is smelling nice. No, HPV doesn't tell you whether it's smelling nice or it's smelling dirty. So even older teens and young adults can actually benefit from having the vaccine. Now, I want you to talk openly about, safe practices, because silence doesn't protect anyone. Don't pretend that silence protects anyone. Silence doesn't protect anyone. Now, parents, I want parents to start having this conversation with their children, with their teenagers, with their friends. Have that conversation, and also protect yourself. It's actually an act of self-respect and care for yourself, that you don't stick your tongue in everybody's body that you see. Because the same way they say HIV need to show for face is the same way HPV need to show for face. Because when it start to show for face, it will now show you shaggy and show you promas and banza in between. So you do not want it to get to that situation. So if you could go back and give your teenage self one piece of advice about sexual health, what will it be? So that advice you could go back to give your teenage self about sexual health, why don't you give it to your teenage children right now? Why don't you give it to your friends? Why don't you even give it to yourself that is an adult? So here's our recap. HPV is common, is more common than we think. The human papilloma virus is out there and is not a woman's problem only. It is everybody's problem. It's a combined effort. So everybody inside for the HPV. Now, oral sex is a transmission route. Now, teens are actually teenagers are actually vulnerable because they often don't know the risk. They just want to engage in it. Their friends are doing it. Why not? Let me do it. This person has done it. Let me do it. This person, that pressure that comes when you're in high school and then you're trying to meet up with everybody. You're trying to do things because A has done it, B has done it, C has done it, Z has done it. So teenagers are actually vulnerable because they often don't know the risk. But HPV is preventable with vaccinations, with open conversations, and breaking the silence. So here's my challenge for you today. If you are a parent, talk to your teenagers, to your teens. If you're a teen or a young adult, ask about the HPV vaccine. And all of us, let's spread the knowledge. Join our campaign against HPV. Just go to my Facebook page, use the link on the bio, and then create a flyer for yourself and advocate for the HPV vaccination, because HPV may be common, but cancer doesn't have to be. Prevention is in our hands. So if there's nothing you're taking home today, I want you to take home that prevention is in our hands. And thank you so much for being part of this important talk tonight. Don't forget to share this video. Somebody might learn the truth. So together we can, protect the next generation on HPV. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope to see you sometime next week, and where we dissect more on HPV. Thank you and have a